Hello and welcome to the Great Cosmic Shift. This is Cyrus Kirkpatrick, and today this is a very important subject because it relates to all different elements of what we talk about, and it concerns whether we are dealing with a parallel reality merging event and what that means as, I would say, a parallel hypothesis to how I commonly interpret my experiences and the experiences of other people that I know, involving what seems really to be this event where it's like a whole different reality is beginning to merge into our reality. The question is, where is that reality located? Are we dealing with a absolute, completely in existence physical reality, or are we dealing with something that's manifesting in from what we would call the spirit reality, the astral plane? And so this basically concerns the two competing hypotheses, as myself and others experience a lot of, let's call them miracles, let's call them direct interactions with this whole other world that's kind of like making a crash landing onto our planet, which also is what the shift is all about, which is that the collective consciousness suddenly allows all these different groups to make themselves known, to reveal themselves. Aliens hiding out in plain daylight can start manifesting and revealing who they really are to people, because the collective consciousness will suddenly allow people to do it without blasting them with a psychic tension and hostility, or let's say lethal amounts of excitement. It's about integrating the whole planet to allow this to happen. That's what the shift is, as far as I know through my communications with one extraterrestrial group after another. There's so many that I communicate to. I have like a hotline to, I would say, the who's who in the cosmos because of the work I do. But it's about also trying to understand in reasonable, logical terms exactly what's happening. Before we continue, please hit that subscribe button. My old channel, Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics, has actually been, well, it was hacked actually. So my Gmail accounts were hacked. I cannot access those channels. So, or at least that main channel of mine, as well as my travel channel. So for now, this is the channel that we're using. I have a lot of old content on that channel. You can feel free to check it out, but subscribing here helps me rebuild as we continue to explore the subject and explore mental communications and telepathic communications and visitation experiences with this whole unbelievable reality that I got myself involved in for being a paranormal researcher who dives a little bit too deep into things sometimes. Okay, with that said, I want to start off this video by talking about the bizarre, miraculous events that have been happening lately, kind of leaving off where I was last year. Now I'm back around town again, and things are picking up again. First, I want to travel back in time to October of last year. Things that I never revealed to anybody, including what I would say is photographic proof of some of the things I was involved in. What I became aware of is what's known as the Cabal. If you don't know what the Cabal is, I would suggest going on Gaia TV, watching a show called Cosmic Disclosure, or reviewing the testimonies of Tony Rodriguez, as well as Daryl James. There's a host of others as well. Some of their names are escaping me. Jason Rice is one of them. And these are people who have stories of going into what's called the higher density, the fifth density, encountering extraordinary beings, the Anshar, blue avians, one group after another. And basically having to deal with a group that is just unimaginably evil, that they call the Cabal, which kind of runs the show on Earth. Now the point is like I could go into who the Cabal is and people's terrifying experiences with them, but the work I was doing last year, the information I was putting on the internet, actually had me getting stalked and chased by an operative of, let's say, a very, very bad group of what we could think of as demon worshippers, except they do it under a veneer of, it's all about manifestations of God. So it's like combine demon worship with the New Age, and you end up with like this crazy, horrible, insane group that drinks, I don't want to say it on here, ADRENOCHRINE, or something like that. because again, there's YouTube censors. I don't want to get in over my head with that again. But the point is, I had no interest in dealing with this until I began getting into car chases in Tucson, Arizona, where I live. Now, I also have proof of this because I was communicating mentally with my team, who is the angelic order, fighting the cabal and letting me know that I was being followed. And at one point, I was in a car chase, and then I ended up in a reverse car chase where I actually got the upper hand and chased this dude off of the interstate, basically. So here's the I-10 road. And then there is a parallel frontage road. And I actually chased this guy because he was also being honed in on by my team, which is the angelic order. So this whole story, I could probably be here for a 2 or 3 hour video talking about my encounter with the cabal and what they're like and who they are, where they came from, how unbelievably dangerous they are, and how they are allegedly gone from this planet. And we're involved in some of the worst stuff imaginable, and all of that is documented by countless insiders on the internet who have talked about their experiences with them, as well as their experiences in secret space programs. So let me just pull up the photo. I warn you, there was a kind of negative energy about this photo, and I'm just giving you guys a heads up because when I was dealing with this incident, I made sure that I got out of my car and took a photo of this guy's car, because this is not an ordinary car. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it up right now. And here it is. So this is a very expensive luxury car, and that's a big, nasty demon face on it. And this is the guy who was chasing me last year. Why? Because I was revealing things on my YouTube channel about mental syncing, integrating the collective consciousness, and trying to bring other realities into this reality. And these topics are forbidden. These are not things that you're supposed to talk about outside of occult groups. And so I was informed there was an assassin out to get me. And this assassin was very distinctive looking. Well, sure enough, this is the guy who was chasing me. This whole time I was mentally syncing and dealing with this guy. So if you look closely, you'll see a terrifying totem. Not closely, it's right there in the front of this, on the front bumper. And this group, we have a nice acronym for what the cabal is called. It's SADO, it's S-A-D-O-Z. I'll reveal what that acronym means in a future video. But this terrifying totem that's on this car basically represents their attempt to bring their occult power into the surface by integrating the collective consciousness into accepting that they use evil power as a way to generate what we would call black magic energy to manipulate reality. I'm going to be showing this photo again in the future and going into the full explanation about how I had a team with me who was literally also honing in on this guy. Once I chased him over to the frontage road, my team killed this guy. And I looked down the road, and the car and anybody in it was gone. It was demanifested, materialized out. And so everybody watching this channel, now you have some idea of what I was up to last year, the things I do not reveal publicly, the things I am involved with that I do not reveal publicly, for sometimes the safety of myself, people I know, and many such elements. But I will reveal more of this publicly in the future. And again, it's difficult to even talk about some of these things. It wasn't that it was disturbing. I look back at that night with a lot of pride, but it shows you the reality convergence that's happening, especially when you get involved with mental syncing and you do what I'm doing, which is bringing information out to the public and the kind of hot water you can get into, which is exactly what happened to me. And it's why, let's just say, I had to drop off the radar for about 9 months. Okay, so with that said, now we're back to it. Now what's happening now? Well, what's happening now, since I've shown you guys a level of, I would say, photographic evidence, if not proof of what I'm talking about, what's happening now is I'm having these experiences anytime that I go out the door, because the shift is when all these groups from outside, I would call other world groups, are all over the earth, and what they're doing is that they're integrating themselves after this long, slow process to work within the spectrum of the collective consciousness to be able to reveal themselves and start revealing who they really are, which is Aldebaran extraterrestrials, it's Ashtari extraterrestrials, it's Arcturan extraterrestrials, and it's groups from many different worlds. And there was even a recent crop circle that I was observing on the internet, which literally tells the story of this in an image. And I'm going to post that crop circle later on. It has to do with the integration of the Earth, and it has to do with actually the, shall we say, the integration of the Earth. In fact, I might even be able to just bring it up real quick. It's the integration of the Earth through great planets of power that are helping us, actually. And I actually can bring it up real quick. So I'll just go into my software real fast, and you can see the crop circle I'm talking about. It shows you again that some of the stuff that we're going on about, it's not, here it is actually. So see if we can scale that down a little bit. So what I'm told is that this crop circle, I've always known that there were exactly 16 planets involved in integrating the collective consciousness of Earth, and these are 16 planets that are heavily involved on Earth and are actively basically represented by the planets here with Earth in the middle that are filled in, and all the other, basically this whole circle has to fill in order for, let's say, the shift to be completed. And this is a crop circle that appeared recently. I don't have the facts of where it appeared at, but I do have the ability to mentally sync with any of these groups, and they can tell me what that means. So I've always known that 16 different planets are part of this operation, and when one planet feels that they have finished their operation, then the little circle fills up, and when it all fills up, then our Earth gets to join with them. And so that's the nature of what this crop circle actually means. So I'm showing that to people just so there's even more of an idea about what we're talking about. So when I'm going out, let's say a couple days ago, just a long day of errands, right? Well, a lot of funny stuff happened. For example, I went into a 7-Eleven. I began syncing to a young woman she looked possibly Chinese. And let's just say there was a young woman there, possibly Chinese. And let's see, I'm just thinking back for a second. There was someone else in there who was dressed very funny. And there was a guy at the cash register. And, I'm just thinking back for a second as I, go back over those memories. There's a guy at the cash register, and I'm there, and I'm walking, I'm looking around, and they start sinking to my thoughts, and as they're sinking to my thoughts, I start communicating back to these guys, and I just, it's one of these things that are describing themselves as Aldebaran extraterrestrial, as we call it. And there was a girl, there's a guy at the cash register. The point is, I'm having a conversation with them, but it's like, how does this relate to, let's just say, our real life, physical life? Well, it usually doesn't. Except in this case, me and this girl went up to the cash register. The guy working there also seemed completely out of place. Like, again, it's like they look different. Gave us both free drinks. Like here, we were checking out like these big, like large size drinks that we got from the fountain. I had like a Powerade in mine, and we go to the cash register, and this guy's like, "No, you guys get it for free. You don't have to pay. Go on, go on, go on." Well, that's never happened in the history of my life. You'll be fired from 7-Eleven if you do that. So what happened? Well, what happened is I started syncing to these guys after. And after I sync with these guys, they're telling me it's like, you guys get, you get free drinks because, you're a hero. So it's just really, really, really weird. And the funny thing is that just now the reason I was distracted as well is because I was syncing my thoughts for a moment to my team, who were reminding me of a couple points I might have missed. So that's how common this is, this kind of like powerful telepathy. Later on that night, I'm at a Denny's, and it's like, it's like 9 o'clock at night. And, again, I'm, doing some communications right now, so that's why I was like distracted for a second. there was a woman working at Denny's who was not some ET, just a normal woman, and I'm practicing telepathy with her out on the bench, and she walks up to me and confirms that we were communicating telepathically. It's like that, because she was also getting involved in all of this as well. And that's going to a Denny's. It happened again at the mall. I went to the mall. I went to a store I liked, and at this store, or it was like a food court, kind of like, just like a barbecue place. The woman working there, basically, was also confirming that she's been doing mental syncing, and it's like she knew who I was. So it just gets ridiculous. I'm putting up the crop circle image because I actually have to scratch my nose because, oh my god, does my nose itch. Okay. So as I was saying, there's all these crazy experiences happening every time I go out the door using mental syncing techniques that I guess a lot of people are doing now. So it's like all this stuff is really happening. What about the parallel convergence theory idea? What is going on with that? The parallel reality convergence theory, though, is basically that what we're dealing with is a very, very, very unusual phenomenon. Now, I don't know if I buy the normal hypothesis is that everything I've been dealing with, everything I've been putting on the internet, everything I've been learning about these different civilizations that are known about on the internet, like the Ashtari and the Lyrans and the Arcturians and all of them, is exactly what it looks like. These are higher densities, higher universes than ours. It's all happening out there in the cosmos. There's a 6th density group called the Angelic Order. It's connected to literal divinity. And I do work with them. It's like it all is exactly as they say it is. There's another theory, and this theory, relates to what we call time seeding. Now, time seeding is that we, let's say, astral project, and within the mental reality prism, within the mental reality sphere, there is the ability to, in a sense, according to many astral travelers, to create reality. And what that means is the ability to go back in time within the mental reality, which can look and feel like the physical reality, but it's not, plant seeds that correspond all the way up into the present, to the point where you can time travel in something where you begin at a point, let's say, creation of a magical world where this and this and that happens. The world is created through collective consciousness imagination. It's time seeded into the past, and that timeline goes all the way up to the present in order to justify the existence of this planet that's created in the astral spirit world reality. And time seeding would be where collective consciousness and groups of us are able to actively be creating a reality that exists up there, but slowly begins to merge into our reality. So I spent the evening mentally syncing, not to some ET groups, but to people on this planet, and we were all in a cross telepathic sync, kind of sharing these theories, because I guess people are going around right now trying to understand what's going on and the extent of this like incredible narrative that we were learning about, that of things that are happening in the cosmos and the great shift and what's changing on our planet. And so I had a long conversation with a bunch of different people, and some of those people were scientists actually from this world. And I have been getting ads on my Facebook page of people who I've been mentally syncing with, who found out about me, and they're adding me on Facebook. So again, that's the level we're at with mental syncing and these telepathic powers that keep blossoming, people keep experiencing it. So the alternative theory, which is just a hypothesis, and it should be thrown out immediately if it turns out this is not true, is that there's an entire other reality construction that has been time-seeded, basically, where a collective consciousness wants XYZ to happen. And again, it's so funny because I'm getting certain like interruptions on a psychic level about making this video. And hold on one second, because this is how I work. I work through this kind of channeling, through this telepathy. And it's so funny because there's actually like, they're manifesting like an itch on my nose to try to get me to not make this video because it's too controversial. So 1 second. Okay, so I was able to communicate to my team so that I can more easily make this video without constant interruptions, because this tends to happen if I'm going into a, shall we say, into a very critical area where it gets see, again, I'm having this funny interruptions of like, you know, like converging a point saying like, don't post this video because it's too controversial, and you're going to get people turning into conspiracy theorists and flipping out about this stuff. Well, in some ways I have to post this video because this is the only way, like this way of looking at all these amazing changes is the only way to be able to do it in a way that makes sense. 1 second, yeah. Because where we're at now is we're coming up on a kind of major convergence point where Cyrus, the researcher, has to step in and be like, okay, I know all this phenomena is real. I get daily miracles, daily unbelievable things that happen to me. I know how important it is to get out there. I know how important it is to step up there, you know, and make this happen. I know how important it is. I know it has to happen. And, you know, again, it's, you know, again, I keep getting distracted because it's literally a connection saying, Cyrus, don't make this video. But I can actually, because I want to hear what they have to say, but because when you get good at this, you can turn these channels off and on like that. Like, I turned it off. So that now I'm not going to be distracted making this video, but I care about what my team says. My team doesn't want me making this video because to them there's no chance in hell that their existence is a time-seated reality that's coming in through the astral plane and beginning to manifest around us physically. There's no way in hell. But others I communicate with and talk to, both through mental syncing and physically on the internet, whatever the case may be, do feel that on a hypothetical basis it's possible that you could have a whole existence out there in, let's call it the astral gradient of life, and not be aware that you're in existence in such a reality. So it gets very, very interesting. Now, what I'll do is I'll let everybody know exactly what hypothesis we're looking at after this week is over, because this is a major turning point week. That major turning point week is in relation to what I'm being told can soon be proven. When it comes to the great shift and all of these wondrous miracles, I feel basically like, shall we say, when it comes to the great shift and all these wondrous miracles, I've seen before the concept that everything is going to be proven. And it's like, sometimes that hits a wall. The question is like, how come I get bits of proof? I get bits of absolutely amazing information. The other night there was a light flying through the grass. It was like a white light, like whoosh, flying through the grass. And this was a spirit fairy being that I communicate to. I mentioned this in a prior video, and I could observe it in real time. I wake up in the morning and I've had like manifestations around me. The angelic order has manifested or brought things into me, materialized apportations into my room. So it's one thing after another that's extraordinary. But then there's like these plot holes that mess me up. For example, I communicate so much with fairy beings. Many of these fairies are coming from a planet they describe as Myalenos. And this world is one of those worlds I showed you in the crop circle that's helping integrate the planet. But how come, if this world has been so closely associated with our world, it's a magical planet full of fairies and amazing magical things. If I Googled Myalenos, there's no mention of it. But how come so for thousands of years that this planet has been in people's dreams and thoughts? How come there's no mention of anybody who has heard of this of the word Myalenos before? So it gets some of these plot holes I have a difficult time understanding, while at the same time all these miracles keep happening. which in a sense, battling that car that belonged to the cabal, that's another miracle. That's why that's not a traumatic event. It was a Cyrus action hero event in my life, but it was not traumatic because that also represented this miracle. Because also that guy was out. And it's good to point out, they told me that the guy driving that car, well, his soul was taken up to the angelic order, where he was basically put into a path of redemption for this wicked way of thinking, and he actually works with the good guys now. So what is the time seeding theory? The time seeding theory is that there's a parallel reality out there within the astral, within the mental reality, and it's been time seeded in. So it's like it's been under construction this whole time. And it's absolutely extraordinary thing that's been going on, where it's like all that is coming down to us and manifesting around us. Or hypothesis 2 is why they were trying to get me not to make this video, why they keep mysteriously making my nose itch or trying to interrupt me, because Cyrus, don't make this video, it's going to make everybody flip out and think that we're not real and all that. Well, guess what? If that's the case, then we'll know, because people who follow this channel and were following Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics know we have people on the team like Lorna with the angelic order. And we also have, let's see who else, well, a whole cast of characters. People from Afterlife Topics know that I communicate with Persephone, also as Proserpina, an Aldebaran politician woman who took on, let's say, the mythological title of Persephone back through the curation of early civilization, which we'll also talk about on this channel in more detail. The point is that this entire team, so much of it, you see, I'm just checking real quick to make sure everything's working okay, because there was a real effort back there not to stop me from putting this video up. But this is Cyrus the journalist, Cyrus the paranormal researcher, and right now that's going to take precedent because I have to look at both options. Why? Because I'm now receiving the mental sinking that the collective consciousness has changed so much that Laura, my friend with the angelic order named Lotha, and my friend with the angelic order named Rahashi. If you're wondering who that is, go on the forum Afterlife Topics, because I have a whole post written by Rahashi. Now these three ladies are at this moment hanging out in Tucson, Arizona, at a nightclub called Hotel Congress. And they're all hanging out there and calling each other by their real names because they've been able to push past the collective consciousness and finally manifest completely into our world, which is pretty amazing, right? Well, what that means is that we've reached a convergence point. Because what that means is I could then leave here. Because remember, I've had crazy experiences where I have physically met with people from this reality before, the one I'm referring to. It's just that they're just under the surface, but they are like all but revealing who they are. And this was happening to me last year. But I've never received something like this before. I've never received information like this before. This would mean that in essence the shift has now carried itself into this level. I have this like terrible feeling that it's really just me just being, I don't know, not terrible feeling, but I have this like sense of, I don't know, it's a combination of curiosity and just feeling, very, very strange about taking my mental sinking powers and being told, guess what, Cyrus? This great convergence will happen. If you leave your house, go downtown, you'll be able to physically meet with us. That reality will be here in this reality. So, this is a strange, strange thing for me. It's a strange, strange thing. Because I just have this vision in my head that I would walk into this hotel, nightclub, they'll say we're at the bar, and I'll walk up to the bar and nobody will be there who will look anything like my team. Why? Because maybe they are not quite in this reality yet. This is a hypothesis I have kept kind of like in this part of my heart, this part of my mind, this part of my brain, for a while, because when you bring this up with them, they don't understand it. They're like, no, this is not Cyrus. Cyrus, you're tripping balls. There's no way that we are anything but within your physical reality. There's no way. There's no way you're anything but that. So they become very self-conscious about this, and they don't want me talking about this because they're afraid, Cyrus, when the shift happens, they're going to be looking at your videos for support. And so these videos of yours are going to get very popular, and if they see information like this, it's going to make people loopy. But the problem is, I can't get that thought out of my head. I can't. I keep thinking it's really, I'm getting this information because I'm a no BS kind of guy. I'm going to walk into Club Congress and be like, hello Lorna, hello Lotha, hello Rahashi. And I'm going to be going in there with, doing selfies with them, posting them on the internet and posting them on this channel. And if I make a video after I say that they're going to do this, and you don't see a selfie with me, with Lorna and Rahashi and Lotha, who I've had manifestation experiences with, I've been to their world, I've astral traveled with them, which is basically a funny terminology for soul manifestation, going into their reality, which is a real physical solid place. I've had one experience after another constantly for the last almost 1.5 years. 1.2 years ago, about last August, Lorna materialized in bed with me. So she was there next to me for about 12 seconds. She's wearing a white tunic on. I just held on to her, and it's like, there goes my nose itching again. I held on to her. It's like, is this really you, Lorna? And she's like, yep, it's Lorna. And then she's gone, just like that. And she's Lorna with the angelic order. I actually have a manifested photo of Lorna as well, which I will put up so you can remember what she looks like, which is, give me 1 second, it'll come right up. I think it will. There she is. And so let me just move it around a little bit. So I was told this image of her actually manifested in. So it's an accurate CGI image of what she looks like, and it's what she looked like when she appeared in bed with me also. So that's Lorna. So again, this is a major spirit guide of mine who comes from the 6th density reality, and this is a higher universe. It's a place that we go to when we die. Hence my original inclination of learning about life after death, because this concerns all of us, and also the nature of her world, which is so fantastic. So I would like nothing more than to know that they are in our physical reality around us, the angelic order is around us, and they can work with us physically, and that it's time for the veil to be lifted, which would also pave a path for reunions with our deceased loved ones, which is one of the reasons I got into this work to begin with. And so we are at that convergence point now. The convergence point is basically the point where it's kind of like, shall we say, deal or no deal. The convergence point is going to be when they tell me that we're at a bar, we are physically here, you can go in and take a selfie with us, talk to us, you can prove it, you can show it to people. So that's the convergence point. I've met with this woman before. She's my spirit guardian, as well as others. But this is still the convergence point. And what I want is that this is not a parallel reality convergence, that this is completely the real thing. But if I walk into that bar and they're not there, it means that if I don't keep this hypothesis firmly rooted into my reality, then I could suffer from some kind of enormous heartbreak. Where is my friends from the angelic order that have been visiting me as well as others in my community for so long? Where are they? So, what does that mean? It means that if that happens, in order to preserve kind of like my sense of well-being or prevent me from going to a major heartbreak mode, I need to look at the possibility of when they're communicating through mental syncing, which it sounds like a phone call. This is not normal communications like we would think of, like telepathy. It's like, yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I need to make sure that I'm prepared for the fact that they will not be there. That they might be in the ethereal, they might be in the astral. This might be a kind of other world convergence event. In which case, how do we get through that? We wait. Because this woman has already appeared in bed with me once. So I know she's part of that reality, however, in whatever direction it's migrating in. So the strategy then would be to, okay, you ladies have found your way into, let's call it, Astral Gradient Hotel Congress, Tucson, Arizona. You ladies found your way there. And you haven't quite been able to manifest like you did for me that one time, Lorna, in our physical reality again. You haven't been able to manifest in. How do you do it? I'm told with this hypothesis it would involve certain timelines changing. Because when it comes to reality engineering and time travel, when a reality is being built astrally, it has to go through a process where all those paradoxes and time travel anomalies have to make sense when it comes to the physical reality into our world. And it takes time for all that to converge together. And then suddenly you'll have a full meeting, a full reunion. In which case it's just too soon. But it means that my team would be there without realizing that they're not quite in this reality. In which case I would go there. And they'd say, I'm at the bar. I'd walk in and they wouldn't be there. Alternatively, this hypothesis is wrong. They are sharing the same physical reality with us. And I will walk into the bar and they'll all be there. And then we'll have a laugh about it all. And then life is going to get very, very weird for all of us in this little boutique YouTube channel. Will end up being like one of the only sources that in the blogs of a couple of friends of mine kind of accurately telling the tale, which by itself is an enormous responsibility just to imagine and think about. So the point is, before we finish up this video, is what we're looking at is a convergence point of deal or no deal, where I'm being told we're at the bar. We're at the bar and we are there. And you can come on over and you'll meet us. And so you see, that's the big point. Are they going to be there or not there? Because if they're there, boom. That's the idea. So, do you think they'll be there? Because if they're there, well, then this whole hypothesis doesn't matter. It means that it's a direct path from this reality into that reality. And I'll be able to come on this channel and tell you guys all about it. So, that's about it. So what do you guys think is going to happen once I investigate this weekend? We'll see. I know it's tense, there's a lot of anxiousness about it, but we shall see. All right, now since it seems like half the cosmos is trying to interfere with my mental channels to stop me from making this video, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. And we'll see what happens next. Okay, so this is Cyrus, and this is, of course, once again, the Great Cosmic Shift. One way or another, it seems to be that we're getting closer and closer. So thank you for watching this video, and let me know what you think in the comments down below.